Hi everyone, this is just a quick video to show you guys my replacement head unit for my 2015 Subaru WRX. I went with the Pioneer AVH X5600. It's got DVD, Bluetooth, AppRadio, and a couple other cool features. So I'll do later, I'll show how to install it and what it looks like in the car, just real quick. But some of the questions that I've been seeing on some of the other videos are in regards to what other components do you need to make it work. So I'll go through the list and kind of show you some of the things that I've picked up. The first one is the steering wheel control. So I want to retain the factory controls on the steering wheel. So I've picked this, and I'll put all the links to all the parts. That way you don't have to worry about trying to figure out what this is. So they'll be on the description of the video. So this is a universal steering wheel control kit. That way it'll make it work with all the, factory controls on the steering wheel. Also, I've picked up, this is kind of like it's the eBrake eliminator. There's a sensor that won't let you watch videos, not recommended while you're driving. This is just for the family or somebody that's in the car that wants to watch videos as you drive. But again, do not use on public roads. Make sure you follow all the laws and don't break any in your states, countries, whatever the case may be. But anyways, I'll link to this as well. And I've got a Metra. This is like a it's a wiring kit that goes into the factory. That way you don't have to tap into the wiring harness. Or factory wiring harness, I should say. So this should plug right up. Comes pre-labeled, so you know what's what, but there's diagrams online that you can use. This was recommended on another video that I watched. It does say for Nissan and up, so I'm hoping it works. But if you look inside, it says for Subaru as well. It's kind of hard to read it on the video. But from what I've seen, it's interchangeable between Nissan and Subaru, so I'll post the part number. It's a Metra 707552. Also, I've picked up the wiring, or not the wiring harness. This is the kit, the mounting kit for a double DIN radio, specifically for the Subaru. I think this is for 2008 and up, Impreza and Foresters. So it should work. Hopefully, I haven't tested it out, so I'll let you know. And then last but not least, this is a pretty important piece. For AppRadio to work, you're gonna need this little, which is the lightning bolt to VGA adapter. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to mirror or do that. And there's a couple of options. You can do mirror link or you can do AppRadio. Personally, I'm going with the AppRadio so I can use some of the apps like Waze and some of the other apps that are available. But you do need this adapter. This is going to plug into the phone. It also has, if you look closely on here, let me see, where's the, oh, here, right here in the back. It's got the option so you can plug the lightning bolt cable as well, so you can charge your phone while you're utilizing it. So it's important that you have this one. All in all, I'm gonna say I've spent close to $450. They had a good price on the AVH 5600 and all the other little pieces that you're gonna need. The most expensive one, aside from the radio, was gonna be, or is, the steering wheel universal kit, so you can get your interface to work. This was pretty pricey. So anyways, check out the rest of the video and check the description for all the links. Okay guys, before we get started too, I want to show you some of the tools that you're going to be needing for the job. And this is one of those puller panel kits. It's nice hard plastic. It shouldn't damage or scuff or scratch, around the dash itself. So I would highly recommend you pick one of these up. It was like $7, $8 on Amazon.com. So I would definitely recommend you get one of these before you do it. Should simplify things. And from what I've seen some of the other videos, you're gonna need a couple of Phillips head screwdriver. I've got 2 different lengths just in case. But that should be all the tools that you need. You may have to cut little plastic tie in the back, one of those zip ties in the back of the radio that's holding, I believe, ground cable. So I would get maybe a pair of scissors or something you can cut with. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to solder the wiring harness that I got, and also the one that comes with the radio itself. So I'm going to solder these 2 together. So if you've got a soldering gun, that'd be great. I also got some heat wraps that they shrink once you put heat to it, so it makes the connection really nice and tight. If you don't have those available, you can always use good old trusty electrical tape. That works pretty well, but I do recommend that you solder everything first. You can pick up a soldering gun for very cheap. I think I got that for like $9. And use either the shrink wraps, the heat shrink wraps, or use the electrical tape so you have a nice and tight connection. It's good to always test it out. You know, most of these new harnesses, as I mentioned earlier in the video, it's kind of hard to see, but they do come with labels already on them, so it should be pretty straightforward. The radio itself is labeled pretty well, but again, there's diagrams you can download online. There's the manual, of course, you can reference to, and should make it fairly straightforward. Alright guys, I've got the radio, all the wiring welded together already, so now it's time to go ahead and pull the dash panel off so that we can get to the radio itself and begin the installation. So as I showed earlier in the video, you've got, you know, your nice little plastic trim tools, removal tools. From a couple of the videos that I watched myself on removing this, it looks like the best way is to start up here at the top. So I basically took from the side a little bit first, just so I could pry this up. You're going to have to come up, as you can see there, kind of come up a little bit. And then with the tool itself, just kind of, you know, go into each one of these spots and gently pry it out. You got to be careful that you don't break it off, or if you pull too hard, double check, make sure you're not pulling it the wrong way. But basically you're going to pull this forward. The whole thing comes off, but of course remember that you've got several things that are plugged in the back. The first one's going to be your hazards switch or light, and then of course you've got your AC controls down here. So I'm going to go ahead and put the camera down just for a second. Unfortunately, I don't have anybody to help me out, so I'm going to go ahead and plug everything and then come back with the video itself. Alright, I've got the panel off. I just want to show you real quick here at the top, you know, how you can get to the wiring itself. There's just little tabs you're going to have to push in, just like any other harness when you need to unplug it, and that should loosen that up. So once you do that, bring it down a little bit and we'll do the bottom part itself for the AC control. Alright, I got the top piece disconnected, and let me just show you on the connectors themselves. It's good if you've got a little screwdriver, a flathead. You want to push on these tabs, so don't pull or push too hard. As soon as you push on it, it literally just pops out. So just to kind of look at the connection. And I apologize that the video is dark. I'm in my garage working at night. Only time I have to do this, so it's going to be a little bit dark. So now that you've got the top disconnected, let's take a look at the bottom piece down here. And it's pretty much the same thing. That's the AC control. Just unplug those. Okay, I've got that one disconnected. It was pretty easy. Just press on this middle tab. It'll pop right out. And carefully, gently remove this unit. And we've got the dash kit out of there now. So this is going to give you room to work on the radio itself. If you look at the bottom, this is where the screws are going to be. So you've got 4 at the bottom. And there's also 2 on each side of the radio, the head unit itself. So go ahead and remove these screws. It's a Phillips head, about a medium-sized screwdriver, and we'll come back to this. Alright, I've got the 4 screws at the bottom removed, and you're going to notice that there is a small bracket over here. So just go ahead and pull that out. It's kind of like a reinforcement bracket that goes in there. So pull that one out, and now you've got the radio brackets themselves on there. Now it's time to do the 2 at the top. So let me go ahead and put the camera down and take those 2 out. Now, one thing to note, and you'll see this on several of the videos that you find online on how to replace this head unit itself, is that the cables, you know, I don't know if it's just a Subaru thing or every manufacturer does that, but the cables are very short, a couple of them. So you're going to have to undo one from the bottom itself. It's pretty tight in there. So a little skinny screwdriver or something small you can use. It's going to be really hard to see it, but you're going to have to go from the bottom to unplug that particular cable wire itself. And then you'll be able to pull the radio out some, make it easier to unplug everything else. So just keep that in mind. Those wires are pretty short, so don't pull too hard. Don't want to rip or break anything, and just be careful when you do it. If you've got a mirror or something where you can look behind, highly recommend that. Unfortunately, I don't have one with me, but I've seen a couple of the videos, so I've got a pretty good idea on what to do to take these off. So I've got the radio kind of halfway out. I got the 2 top screws out as well. So just to kind of show you around the back a little bit, it's kind of hard to see it because it's a pretty tight angle, but you'll see that there's just not a lot of room back there. And just start unplugging these units. I mean, you may be able to get to them from the top, but again, there's one at the very bottom that's kind of hard to get to. And a little flathead screwdriver or something may help to pop that out, or the Phillips head that you have, use the smaller one. medium size again that'll fit in there to try to pop some of these units out. Alright, I've got most of the wiring or wires connected to the back of the factory radio disconnected. Now earlier we talked about this little like a zip tie. It's like a little zip tie you've got right here. If I shine a light you can see it a little bit better, but you're gonna have to kind of cut that off so that you can get this red connector out of there. So scissors or something sharp that can cut it without damaging would be really useful. Alright guys, I've got everything unplugged. I went ahead and plugged in the radio before I put it on the mounting kit. I just plugged the harness real quick. I wanted to make sure all my connections that I solder on there are working, and sorry for the music, maybe a little too loud, but it looks like we've got power, volume's working. I tested the balance, fader, everything should be working pretty good. One thing you'll notice right away, especially on this, you know, crappy factory sound system, is that it sounds so much better even with the crappy factory speakers. I mean, it's like night and day difference. Just a big difference in sound right off the bat. So I'm gonna finish up the wiring. You know, the wiring harness worked. I've got everything plugged in, the antenna. Now I just gotta plug in the part for the AppRadio itself and program the steering wheel controls. I may actually do that on a second video. It is getting kind of late and I'm getting tired. It's hot in the garage, so I may save that for later, but that's usually pretty easy. If you go to the Axis website, put in the year and make and model of your car, it's going to give you a pretty nice diagram, and it's auto programmed, so as long as you've got the power and everything else going to it, it will you know, it'll work pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up the wiring and then get everything plugged in, put the bracket in, and go from there. Alright guys, I've got everything wired up and connected now, and I just wanted to show you the double DIN mounting kit. Unfortunately did not fit. That was a recommendation that was made to me, and it does not fit. So what I had to do, if you take a look, I just basically cut the mounting brackets that come, the plastic ones, and I reused the ones from the OEM radio and reattached that to the aftermarket Pioneer radio. Seems to fit just fine. So I've got a couple of screws in there I had to cut out, as you can see, and tear off the little bracket. They snapped right off, so it wasn't that big of a deal. And then I used a pair of scissors to cut out a little you know, cut out on the plastic one to make room for the metal OEM one from the OEM radio itself. So I hope that makes sense. I would keep looking for a different double DIN kit, see if there's a better one out there. Again, this was the recommended one to me, and it doesn't fit, but with a little modification I'm going to be able to use it. Looks pretty good, so I'm going to put everything back and test this thing out. Alright, I've got everything put or AppRadio, I'm sorry, and it was just pretty convenient. I just cut a little hole out for the microphone and the USB connector to come out from. I'm also going to go ahead and run the VGA cable itself, which you need to run, but I'm waiting on the cable to arrive. Unfortunately, that wasn't here yet, so I'm not able to go through the whole thing, but love the radio, love the sound, pretty easy to customize and set up. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry for the poor quality, but I was working at night. That's pretty much all I had. If you've got any questions, leave it on the comments. I'm going to post all the links down below as well. And enjoy.